What was wrong with what I just said? What?
Because
That's
at
the
the end of
situation
the
we
day,
got
all
going
I
on
did,
the podcast.
you brought up a situation about a little boy that was fighting at the school, and all I said was a lot of times in these situations we act like women don't do what they do, and I'm literally speaking about the culture and saying that this is why the culture sounds like it does. One of the most watched episodes, clips. I don't know if you remember this, Marcus. I think we pulled it up one time on the show we did a while back. One of the most watched clips of Kevin Samuels was him on this app called the Clubhouse. And there was these women on there that was going in and he kicked them off and they like, why would you do that? And he was like, look, this one-way aggression or women against men, it's over with. Men ain't taking that no more. So you're going to have those that walk away from it and you're going to have those who respond with violence. And that's all I was trying to say. But that's neither here nor there. If you don't mind, I do want to respond back to this though. We have to talk about this last place thing. How can black people be the last place if they are the second most millionaires in the country?
I think that was for the general, so not the highest 10%. It was in regards to the collective average, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, but when you do that, here's the thing about it: when you use the numbers from the other people's, you're using all they millionaires too. It's all encompassed. So why can't we use ours?
Yeah, no. So I don't know if you've seen the stat sheet that she pulled up. I think that explains what the original issue was when we dove into it. You probably would have had to see the first portion of this. Did you watch the beginning?
No, I caught the last 30 minutes right before I messaged you.
Okay, yeah. We discussed that in somewhat totality and appreciate the extra information you brought into it. But that the highest percentage ranked in a I don't know if she got the stat sheet to pull up so you can see what we're talking about, but it would make sense why we don't got to go into that portion of the conversation.
But
it's 18 million Asians.
It was comparing education against the versus the black dollar and US dollar, basically. So for every, I think the overall stat was like for those who had a high school diploma, black versus US, we would make 90 cents to the dollar. And then as we went up in education, the dollar amount went down, meaning that there was to every dollar, it went down to like 87 cents. Then the next rate went down to like, let's say 85 cent. So that was kind of what it was. So
but you know why that is though, right? Because when you go into the education fields, who's the most educated people in the black community?
Women.
Absolutely. Right. So we already know what the argument about as it pertains to women when they try to do the whole wage gap thing, right? Where it's not a wage gap, it's an earnings gap, right? So that's why you would see a decrease in the numbers when you go into the education field, because the majority of the people in our community who I think it's like 67% of all degree holders in the black community are black women. Right. And if those degree holders are also not in the STEM fields, but they doing regular jobs, and then I think, what is it, like 60% of all degree holders don't even have jobs in the fields that their degrees are in. So of course you would see a decline in the numbers, right? It's not about it being black. You see what I'm saying?
But that's where you got it wrong. It wasn't talking about, well, the last one, it started off with the overall, then black men, then black women. But what I was talking about was the overall percentage of black women and men. It encompassed both of them. So
that's how that works, right? So even if you look at the stat that I pulled up from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, if you look at it, what you see is it says black men weekly earn $9.97, right? Black women weekly earn $9.36, right? But if you add that together, black people earn $9.67. You see how that works? So the blacks across the board came down from black men, but went up for black women because you're including all of them. So I'm saying you have to use the same mindset. I'm gonna be quiet because I can't know what I'm talking about. Go ahead.
So no, what we came to the conclusion of was that because there was no way for us to drill down to specifically how they were coming to the conclusion with the education metrics, because I asked the question earlier about, are the people with high school degrees that are getting 90 cents on the dollar, is it because they're liable to be entrepreneurs and work for themselves, so they would return more of the money? Because we couldn't drill that down, the conclusion was you can make any narrative you want with statistics. If you don't have all the, you
gotta be
can.
smarter than that. See, that's what I'm saying. If we want to compare ourselves to other people, guess what they're gonna do? They're not gonna check out when things get hard. You just got to be smarter, right? So
No, we did not have the corresponding information. That was the point. Not that we're checking out. It's if we didn't have the rest of the information to dissect that fully, you literally can lie with statistics if you want to. You literally can.
But as it pertains to us, that's across the board as it pertains to high
Yes,
school.
to
right?
everyone.
Yeah, I'm saying race.
You would have to see the graph we was discussing for you to understand the context of why I'm saying that.
Well, I'm only using what you're saying as it pertains to blacks. That's what I'm looking at the title of the show, and then that's what I'm addressing, right? And I'm saying a lot of the times the narratives that we spin about black people, I don't know why we accept these narratives, right? Like it's still guys in this space who run around saying black women just out here having babies in their teens. When the number says the first time the average black woman has her first child is at 22. So why don't y'all stop lying on black women? Right? Like, let's say what's correct, right? According to Shan's ideology, which I 100% agree with. Let's just say what's true, regardless of whether or not if it fits our narratives or not, right? So I'm saying when you look at high school diplomas, well, that's been going on for a long time, right? Which is why there was an incentive push for black people to go to college for a long time coming through the 80s and the 90s because of the fact that they were raising the education requirements on a lot of jobs in order for you to reach higher financial circumstances. So we understand high school across the board, white, black, Mexican, it's not going to make a difference. You're still going to see a lower drop in income, not to mention the fact that number doesn't account for entrepreneurs if you're talking about income. So like the BLS statistic is showing you about people who work and earn a wage and earn an income, not entrepreneurs. Not to mention, I don't know if you know this, but I think the lowest number is 60% AP in any demographic. Mexican, Asian, white, black, doesn't matter. The lowest number is 60% for the women to work, right? So when we talk about, that's why I asked you earlier, what do you mean by nuclear family? When you say nuclear family, are you saying a man that works and a woman that doesn't, or both parents in the house?
Both parents in the house.
Okay, yeah.
I just have this question. Why is it, and I think I had heard this on something before, and I was just trying to ponder this, so I'm gonna see if you guys can answer it. Why is it with Black people, we talk about slavery and in our group, they say, oh, here we go, talk about slavery again, that happened 300 years ago. When are you gonna get over it? In our own group? So we have this thing where we want to hide the slavery, but Jews would say never forget. Why do you think there's a difference? What is the messaging between those two? We, as Blacks, we say forget it, but I think people say don't forget it. Why? What's the difference?
I think that there is a difference. I think that Jews are saying don't ever forget it. We see what they done one time, it can happen again. Next time we have to be prepared, right? I think with Black people, what's going on is we like to sit in it. See, Jews didn't let it hinder them. They try to move forward, right? And so I think when people are saying that we don't ever want to forget slavery, I don't think that that's what they're saying. We know what happened and we're going to always talk about it, right? But I think that what they don't want to do is we can't allow it to hinder us any longer. We got to say, okay, this happened to us. So what are we going to do from this point on to make ourselves better, right? You can't just sit in it. It can't be your excuse for every single thing. It happened. We cannot forget it because just like the Jews, it can happen again because history has a way of repeating itself if you're not ready, right? But you can't sit in it. You have to be you have to move from it. Now that we're here, let's move forward and to make the best. We've been dealt a bad hand, right? So what are we going to do with this bad hand? We have to make the best out of our situation. Don't sit in it and make it an excuse for every single thing we do.
I agree with that, but even in our recent history, when we all were alive in 1985, when they tried to in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania,
Little
When
podcast about he want to lie, brother. You was born in 1972. Don't do it.
But
Go ahead. I'm sorry, AP.
no, it's all good. When there was a coalition of black people being built to actually get into government that were sectioned off in a portion of town, they were bombed by the local government. Yeah, you want us to forget slavery, but when we go back to just 1985,
A lot of stuff has happened to us.
like let's stop it. Every time we try as a collective and think throughout our history here in America, as a collective, when we move as a collective, they, whoever the they and the them are, y'all know who the they and the them are.
Yeah.
They say, oh no, black folks, we can't let y'all do that. No, we can't let y'all do that. Bam. That's what happens every single time. And you know what? Sometimes it sucks being the damn mosquito.
It does.